Hello, people, and welcome back to part two of the Isuka and Draw character story thingy. In part one, I ended about halfway of the fight between Ace and Draw, so I'm going to continue doing that. Then I move on to their abilities and their personalities of both characters. So it might sound a bit weird to as I just basically do this segment and then it will jump straight into the audio from part two. I recorded most of part two yesterday, but today I had to go somewhere, so now I'm finishing off part two today. So sorry if the audio sounds a bit weird. And let's get started. Now Ace is using Haki and Draw gets defeated. Now I must quickly note, I think it's insinuated that Ace was using Haki for a little bit during this fight before the two punch each other. But it also notes he wasn't putting too much thought into it. And secondly, this is either the first time he was using Haki, or alternatively, this is just the first reveal that this is the first reveal of Ace using Haki in a One Piece related story. Although I think he might have used Haki before. That's spoilers, but if you know, you know. So let's move on. And that's pretty much Draw's story out of the way. Now let's get back to Isuka. Now I'm sure some of you smart viewers may have already noticed Isuka's background, childhood story, and Draw's words about his use of fire injuring innocent civilians as just a necessary evil when delivering justice has a solid connection. And you're right, it was Draw who burnt down Isuka's village as a child when he was battling pirates. I think I might have revealed that already and I was meant to keep that secret, but who cares? And Isuka realizes this during the fight between Ace and Draw, and it left her distraught. And the man who saved her and took her under her wing was the exact man who burnt down her village. And obviously she's just distraught by the whole thing. But Ace, like the good man he is, notices this when the fight ends and doesn't quite feel right leaving her behind. So he puts out a helping hand and offers her to come on his ship. Now just think about that for a moment. Here is yet another person offering a helping hand moments after finding out that the last person to do this was a scumbag all along. Or maybe not the last person, but you get the point. But Ace is a different kind of man, and he even injects some humour into the situation, saying she can come on his ship and be a bounty hunter to chase him despite being on the same ship. Finding the whole statement idea absolutely absurd. She can't help but laugh, saying that bounty hunters don't shake the hands of pirates. She ends up staying on Sabaody, not taking up the offer to join Ace on his ship, and they part ways. And that's it for her story until further Ace novels, I suppose. Now let's move on to the abilities and personality segment, which in all honesty should be relatively short. Now there's only one definitive thing we know about Isuka's abilities, and that she is a skilled user of the rapier, which if some of you may be aware of from video games or manga and anime and other kinds of media, is a long sword. It's a long sword, slender, usually quite thin and sharply pointed. Think of the sport of fencing that uses kind of similar looking swords. Now in manga and anime, they are usually associated with nimbleness, and the character who uses them having like agility and stuff like that. So we can assume she has these characteristics. She also has the nickname Nailing in reference to her ability to use the rapier. So we can assume she is skilled with the sword in order to receive a nickname based on using it. I can imagine she received it because of her precise use of being able to nail an opponent from any angle. I frequently do so, although this is all speculation, of course. Now, she has the rank of ensign, so she is a marine officer, but the lowest ranked one, so she's not a complete scrub, but not a big shot, so her rank would most likely reflect her power. To put it in perspective, Tashigi, Smoker's subordinate, I suppose you could call it subordinate, was an ensign early on in One Piece, and so Isuka is probably the same level as early Tashigi. They also both use swords. This is further reinforced if you think of Draw as the equivalent of Smoker and Isuka the equivalent of Tashigi, so she's probably around Tashigi's level at early One Piece. Now, if you use Tashigi as the benchmark, then Isuka most likely doesn't have Haki. But then again, this novel was released with the knowledge of Haki in mind. Whereas when Tashigi was like first introduced, Haki wasn't really a thing yet. Now, minor spoiler incoming, Tashigi does go on to develop Haki. I think Smoker said that at one point she's not very good at it yet. And seeing as we have yet to see the full story of Isuka, who knows, she may develop Haki down the line. It would not surprise me if she does. And she will almost certainly become more powerful as well. Okay, that's it for Isuka's abilities. Let's move on to the personality segment. Then I'll move on to Draw's personality and abilities. We only have a few glimpses into her personality. Firstly, she has a nice and honest kind of personality, as Juice, if you remember Ace's crew member, considers her to be so. He also thinks she's a bit careless, so that is most likely part of her personality as well. And seeing as she tried to infiltrate Ace's ship alone, or I believe she was alone, carelessness is most likely part of her personality. And seeing as she didn't want the kids to be injured during the Ace and Draw fight, we can further assume she is nice, but she also shows that she is thoughtful, so she most likely has a thoughtful personality. And I reckon she's also determined, and she has strong resolve. They are most likely parts of her personality, so for repeating myself, as she insists to not let children suffer as she did. Plus, she is determined to catch Ace, chasing him all over the Grand Line, but not too determined, mind you, as she doesn't immediately chase Ace and lets him leave Sabaody to go on his way and do other pirate things. Although she was on holiday as well, so she might just want to chill and drink some beers or something. But letting Ace go might also show that she has a strong sense of morality in her personality, considering the type of justice she most likely follows, as opposed to absolute justice. Then yes, she is a moral marine. Letting Ace go, she knows he done the right thing, so I reckon she definitely has a moral personality. Just quickly, absolute justice and moral justice is a thing in One Piece that a marine either follows one or the other. But at the same time, each marine has their own kind of special justice that kind of reflects their personality. They follow their own kind of special justice, so it's not set in stone. Not set in stone, but it is a big thing in One Piece. And that's it for her personality. Let's move on to Draw. Now, I'll try and keep this short and sweet as well. I have basically said what abilities he has drawn the Ace and Fight description. So we know he wields 2 flamethrowers, which, to be honest, is quite a bizarre, thing to have, especially for a marine or just a character in general. They are cool though, they do sound cool. He wields them under his arm and they are decently powerful enough to give Ace trouble, whom, as many of you know, as the Mera no Mi Devil Fruit. Now, how they give him trouble kind of baffles me. If anyone wants to let me know or enlighten me how fire can affect a fire Devil Fruit user. From my understanding, it couldn't really do anything to him, but apparently it does. As I said, I don't want to get too hung up on them kind of things. So Draw is adept in using these flamethrowers, and he must be quite skillful to move around with 2 flamethrowers under his arm and use them precisely to hit his opponent, although they may just have a wide area of effect. They also might be quite heavy, but we don't have any pictures of Draw, I believe, so I can't quite, this is all speculation, but I reckon it'll be heavy enough. But he seemingly can move around with them quite freely, and he must have quite strength to him because he also has a fuel tank on his back, plus the flamethrowers, and he is still able to move around freely enough to go toe-to-toe with an unrestricted Ace. He also must have quite strong endurance. For one, when the fuel tank exploded, he was relatively unharmed by the thing, and he was able to go on to fight Ace. Let's just keep it real for a moment. He is able to fight Ace head on for a decent amount of time, and this definitely shows he is no pushover. If you think of how strong Luffy was at the point he reached Sabaody, that should let you know how potentially strong Draw is, because Ace was probably likely around the same level as Luffy was when he first reached Sabaody. Now, we know he has Armament Haki, which is basically an ability that allows the user to armor up part of their body or all of their body, but of course there's a lot more to it. If you're familiar with the manga in recent months, you know that there's definitely more to it. Now, it's not currently known if he has any other kinds of Haki, but he showed no signs of observation Haki during this fight with Ace. and he almost certainly won't have Conqueror's Haki, but he is a Vice Admiral, so the idea of him not having some kind of observation Haki would surprise me, but hey, it can happen. Maybe he develops it down the line, maybe he wasn't proficient in it, who knows? Now let's briefly talk about him being a Vice Admiral. Vice Admiral is the third highest rank in the Marine ranks, and its rooster holds some very, very strong people. It's basically the rank all strong Marines hold that can't quite take the Marine spot, the Admiral spot even, with a few exceptions of course. So holding this rank alone indicates that Draw is a powerful character. Okay, let's move on to personality, then we'll end the video. Now, we can assume a lot of things about his personality based on his actions, but bear with me here. He may not be as bad as we think. What we do know is he has a strong hate for pirates, and this definitely impacts his personality. Through this hatred, we see he has a kind of hateful personality and has a lack of empathy for others. Maybe an overzealous personality, like he's overzealous to fulfill his job. He is likely determined, as he's determined to catch pirates no matter the cost. Now, we don't know what his personality is outside of fighting pirates. He might have a nice personality, and he might even be known as a nice guy. He did have enough sympathy to save Isuka and take her under his wing, which at the same time is kind of cruel considering what he did. So he might also be a deceitful kind of guy, and that might be part of his personality. I reckon he's crafty and of course cruel to do that to Isuka. So yeah, he is definitely a bad guy, but as I said, we just don't quite know enough about his personality to fully judge him. But let's face it, he's a bit of an arse, so yeah. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Now, due to the lack of pictures, this video presentation is a bit different than normal. Usually I try to make things a bit more entertaining. If you want me to make a character story video on a character from an anime you like, let me know. And if I'm familiar with the anime, I'll give it a go. I also do manga reviews from The Promised Neverland, My Hero Academia, and of course One Piece. I do theories from time to time, and I throw out the odd Dokkan Battle video, which I'll probably be doing this week. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment below, and check out my channel for more videos like this.